Okay, today we're going to be learning about layers. Your layers panel is going to always be in Photoshop in the bottom right corner. If you look at it right over here, you're going to see where it says layers. And we have a brand new file that's opened up. It's called background. You'll see it's italicized. You'll also see that there's a lock on it. Both of those things mean that you cannot do anything to it. All right, it's the file that we just opened up. It does mean you can view it when you see that eyeball. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. So what we want to do is we want to make that layer editable. In order to do that, you simply double click, and when you do so, you're going to see a box pop up that looks just like this. It's very, very important to always, always, always label your layers. So in order to do that, we just type in what we want to call it. I'll call that original, hit enter, and now you'll see that it no longer has a lock on it, and it's been renamed. It also is no longer italicized. And now that little I, if I click on that, I can actually turn that layer completely off. So understanding layers is important here. You need to know that anything that's going to be on top of this is going to be over what you see on the screen, and anything below is going to be under this. The first thing that we want to do here, and I recommend this anytime you work on any kind of project, is making a copy of your layer. When you do that, it allows you, if you make a mistake, to go back and fix it much more easily. So in order to make a copy of that layer, you simply right-click on it. You go to Duplicate Layer, and it's going to pop up a screen. And again, you want to name that properly, so we're going to call that Logo. And you hit Enter. And now you'll see we have two different items here. We have Logo, and we have Original. I'm going to press the eyeball next to Original because I want to turn that off. And now we're just going to have that one layer that's actually highlighted with the eye. The next thing that we want to do is we want to put a layer below that and fill it in with a bright color, because what we're going to do is we're going to be erasing everything but the black on the logo here. So in order to create a new layer, in the bottom right corner right next to your trash can, you're going to see a little icon. Looks like a post-it note. You simply press that one time, and you'll see now I have something that popped up here. It's called Layer 1. All right, again, we want to make sure that we rename all of our layers first and foremost. So you simply double-click on that. We're going to call that Fill and hit Enter, because we're going to fill that in with a specific color. In order to reorder that layer, we're simply going to click and drag it down, and you'll see that in between the layers here, you'll see how it turns black. Once it turns black, that black line, you let go, and now that layer is going to be below. All right? We want to fill that in with a certain color. So I'm going to grab my paint bucket, which is over here on the left. If you do not see a paint bucket, you may see the gradient tool. All right, simply click and hold on that gradient tool until you see paint bucket and select that. Then we want to change colors, and your color probably is going to be black and white right now. We want to go ahead and select a bright color. So I'm going to click on that black. It's going to pop up this color selection. I'm going to choose a bright color in here, so I'm going to go with green. And now on that fill layer, I'm going to click one time. And if you look over here on the thumbnail, you'll see it's now filled that in with green. You don't see it on top because, again, remember, in the layers panel, whatever's on top is covering what's on bottom. So if I turn off that logo layer, you will now see that green shows up there. All right, and I'm going to turn that back on. The reason that we want to do that is we want to be able to erase and see exactly where we are erasing. So back on this logo layer, we're going to erase. I'm going to grab my eraser, which is over here on the right, or I'm sorry, on the left. Again, make sure you have the normal eraser. Do not use background eraser or magic eraser yet. Those are interesting tools. They do some interesting things, but they're not what we're going to use at the beginning of the year. So grab the eraser tool, and you can simply start erasing. All right, and make sure that you're on that logo layer. If you're on the fill layer, if that fill layer is highlighted in blue, it is not going to show up when you start erasing. You're going to think nothing is happening. Okay, so please make sure that you're on the correct layer. And I'm going to erase. And if I want to make that bigger, I can go up here to the very top, and you'll see where it says size. I can increase that size, and now you can see it's getting bigger. I can also, let me make that just a little bit bigger. I can change the hardness. So right now, you see it's got that really hard line. If I was trying to make a photorealistic image, I would drop that hardness down, and you'll see that it's much, much softer at that point. It blends it in. However, in this project, we definitely want to make sure that we use that very hard edge because we want everything cleaned up except for the image itself. Okay, so we have our logo here, and we've been erasing, and as I said, you definitely want to make sure that you're using this hard edge. But you can't erase right up next to this and not make a mistake. So what we want to do is we want to zoom in very close. If you look on the left again in your tools palette, and that's what all these are called, it's the tools palette or tools panel, you're going to see a magnifying glass. I'm going to click on that one time, and now you'll notice up top we have two options. We have zoom in and we have zoom out. All right, so I want to zoom in here, and again, if I want to zoom out, I can simply click on that, or when I'm zooming in, I can hold down the Alt button, and I can zoom out using the Alt button. But what we want to do is we want to zoom way, way in. The closer you are to that, the easier your life is going to be. So we want to zoom way in, and we're simply going to go through and very carefully erase right along the edge. We want all the white gone, all the red gone. All we want left is black, and we want a nice clean line. Okay. Don't make your eraser too big. You can even make it smaller if you want, because the purpose of this is making it as nice and clean as you possibly can. All right. The better you get at this, the easier things are going to be later on. So we want to erase everything right along the edge, and once that's all said and done, you should have nothing left on here other than the black line itself, the Sharpie that you put down on the paper itself.